Okay, now we are back again on this thing. Last time we were talking, and then we went about how to create a user and delete the user and do all those type of fun things. And we know that all user or either employee are located inside the home directory. So what we're gonna do today is try to see how you can switch from one user to another. Now I'm located as a root. If I say who I am, it's gonna say I'm root. If I want to become maybe a red hat, I need to use the command su dash, and then I put the name of the person who I want to become. You know, here since I'm was root and root have all the privileges on the computer, he doesn't need no password to identify as someone else. He can just switch over. But if now I decide that I want to become maybe a junior, since we know that we have two users in the company, root and junior. Now it's going to ask me a password to get in there. So because Red Hat doesn't have no privilege, so he has no business to do inside a junior account. And even if he tried to do so now, it's gonna ask for his password to see if he has a permission to do that. And now when I'm going to put the permission here, it's gonna log me in. Well, it's kind of confusing. There's issue going on right here, but it's not on the scope of this subject. Let's just move on. But basically, that's the idea how you move on from one user to another. To just get out of the user account, you need to type the command exit. So by typing exit, you say log out. So I was in junior account and I log out. Now I'm in Red Hat. And if I press exit again, exit now, I went back to root. So we want to become a Red Hat, for example, and here Red Hat, since it's working, he's going to be asked to create a folder. A folder, as the name says, a folder is it's a document, or it's a part of document where you can put other document inside. I hope the explanation is kind of makes sense. But to create a folder, we create a command of make d. And by the way, folder and directory basically mean the same thing. So make D, and we're going to create a folder that we're going to call LND right here. If I do LL, say I want to see, we just see Red Hat just created a folder LND. That's why he has this information, and we're going to talk more about that. So if you want to create more folder, we use make D. Make D, and let's call this folder margin. So here we see we have a two folder that we have created. But now if he's asked to create a file, we use the command touch. Touch is going to create a file, and let's say we call that file GG, for example. If we do LL here, you see how the file look like and how the directory look like is something different. In the folder, you can put other folder inside the folder. It just makes sense, it's obvious. And a file is just something in which you have to write on it. Just same as in Windows, when you have a file, you can just write on the file, but a folder, you take one folder, you put inside. A folder also means a directory. So in this case, if I want to move maybe Lenji inside of margin, I will do MV, move MV, and I say I'm moving Lenji inside of margin like this. If I do LL here, we don't see Lenji no more. But if we see the inside margin here, when we do LL, we're gonna see a Lenji over there. So basically, that's how you created a file, and that's how you created a folder. To delete a file, for example, if a file needed to be deleted, let's say we're going to create another folder or a file, touch, and we're going to touch another file called Friday. So when we do LL, we see here that we created a file and we call it Friday. If I want to delete it, I will use the command rm. Rm stands for remove, as obvious the name can say. So if I put remove Friday in there, by the time I will do ll again, the file is not going to appear no more. So basically, that's how it looks like. So what I want to do next, I want to try to break down what all this means, so you have a better understanding of all those information, and next time that you're going to see it, it's quite important to know that. And as we know, these are the base of what we are working on or what we are trying to get into. So here, that's how you know that this is a directory, because you see the D. The D here shows you that it's a directory. Don't bother too much about the color, because the color can change at any time. But as long as you're going to see a D here, that's how you're going to know that you have a directory. Let me at the same time check also for the file, so we kind of seeing it along the side of both of them. And here, when you see this minus, that's how you know it's a file. So this show you that it's a directory or a folder, and this show you that it's a file. Now, when you go to this set of line that you see RWS, this is what is called the permission. So this is what we talk the permission of the folder. And here the same thing is going to be the permission of this file. Here is how many times this file is connected on the other stuff on the computer, which we're going to see in the later video. Here is the name of the person who owns the file, who has the privilege to do whatever what you want to do on that directory or that folder. Same thing here. Basically, it's going to be the name of the person who created it at the first, and then you can change it anytime. Here is going to be the group. That person belongs to what group, and we're going to see the idea of the group further. This is going to be the size of the file, the amount of things that I have inside that folder, what is their weight. Here we created a file, we didn't put nothing in there, that's why it says is 0. Here is the date in which it was created, the date and time. And here is the name of the file by itself. Same thing down here, the date and the name of the file himself. So when you see this, basically that's what it means. Every time that you're going to go somewhere and you do LL, all this information that you see, that is kind of their breakdown, and how we understand them. Now, to go even deep further on the permission, here we're gonna break it down like this again in the set of three. Or, or to better understand even the permission, how do we break them down? So the set of those three letters that I just put aside stand for the user. Basically, it represents the user of the account, this guy. The set of the three next number represent the group. That user belongs to what group here. And the set of the three other can be anyone who have access to the computer. Same thing down here. When we break this, those three like this. So the three first represent the user, the three second number represent the group, and the third one represent anybody who can be logged on the account. So that all represent other user and group. And the user here is Red Hat, the group here is Red Hat, and other is anyone who can have access to the computer. So as a convention, the R mean uh, read, right? So that means this user Red Hat has the permission to read this file. the W stand for write. That means this user Red Hat has the permission to write on this file. But and then here you see there's some X. The X stand for execute. Execute. I hope I spelled it right. And then that minus here doesn't mean there's nothing in there. So just mean that there's nothing just over there. So somehow it's kind of represent a zero or nothing, just as a basic. So in this case, this user Red Hat has the permission to read, write, and execute on this folder linked. Here it means the group, anybody who belongs to this group has the permission to read, write, execute. But any other people who can have access, even if they are not inside the group or they don't belong to the group or whatever, they can only read or either execute this folder in case. So here the user can read and write. Here the group can read and write, and any other person can only execute this folder. I mean, can only read this folder. They cannot do anything else on it. But to go even deeper, we can change this permission and have a better understanding. The idea of on a folder, the idea of reading and writing is different when it comes to a file. The R on the reading here, which is time for read, mean you cannot list stuff that is inside that file, right? Here, the W would mean you cannot create something inside that file. And here, the X means you can not CD inside that file. And we're going to see quite an example here with the file of lending. So let's say when we see that here the folder length has the permission to read here, execute. To remove that, we use the command that we call chmod to change the permission. To change the permission on the file, we use the permission chmod. And we say chmod, we want to change the permission of the user. And here the permission on the user, we want to remove the execute permission. So we're removing the execute permission on LangD, right? By the time I press enter, when I do LL again, you will see here the user doesn't have the execute permission anymore. But what were we saying? The execute permission means you remove the ability to the person to CD into that folder. So by now, if I say CD, I want to go inside LangD. When I press enter, it will say permission denied. Why the permission is denied? Because he doesn't have the X, he doesn't have the execute permission. It's going to be the same if we go to the group and we remove the execute permission. That means nobody will have the permission to get in there. To remove the read permission, for example, if I do a chmod change mode and I say I want to, on the user, I want to remove the write permission. So I won't have the ability to write it there. And I'm removing that on the folder called LangD. So in the first time, I won't even be able to CD inside LangD. So there's there's no way for me to try to go in there. And let's say if I want to make G, I want to create the file. So I want to create a file in there. So the file that I want to create, I'm creating the file inside LangD, and the file I'm going to call it, let's say SammyG, for example. By the time I press enter, it's saying I cannot create anything there, cannot create a directory inside LangD, permission denied. Why? Because by removing the W, it means since the user doesn't have the W, it means that user cannot create anything inside that folder. And that's how you remove the file permission. Let's say in the case, if I give it back to him, I say chmod, change mode, and on the user, I want to give him the right permission. and I'm giving him the right permission on the folder LNG. By the time I'm gonna call back here, make G, I'm creating some G, it's still saying I have the permission denied. And why do I have the permission denied? It's probably because I don't have the X to go inside that folder. I don't have no permission to get in here. Let's give him the permission and we do a Gmod um, on the user. We add X permission, right? We didn't say to who we are giving add X permission to LND. By the time we doing this again, now it's created. If we see inside of LNG here and we do LL, we see that we created a file called SAMIG in here. So understand that um, on the on the folder, if I remove the X, let's say when we have the R, just the R and Dojo, that mean user can only uh, in this case the user can only do a LL, it can only list that file. In the case where we have a RW minus, that means the user can list and create something in that file. I don't even think he can list and create. But when we have uh, the all of them like R, W, and X, that means the user has all the permission in there. In the same case here, that would mean the user will have the ability to write something in that file. Here he can, read and then write and then here execute the file as we move forward. So if you want to change the permission on the group, for example, we will say, like here we have this, we will say Chmod, and on the group, we want to, in this case, remove the execute permission on the file called SAMID. By the time we press LS, when we're going to do this, we see here that the X is gone. So that means anybody who belongs to this group would not have access here. If you want to remove it on the X on the other people, so we use the same thing, chmod. So chmod is a command that we use to change the permission. Here we're going to say on order, we want to remove the X permission on the file SAMIG. By the time we do LM, here we see that information is gone. So that's how we change the permission and we make it kind of easier to manipulate the permission and give access to one person or another here. But let's say if it's happened in the case where we want to change the name of the user, or either the group in which the user belong to. Here we can do change own. We change the owner and we change the owner of the red hat, the group red hat, and let's say we're gonna give the root junior, since I think it's one group that we have. We are giving junior to who? To the file called SAMIG. To own cannot even I type it wrong. So that's how you present it. To own, you change the information of the file SAMIG. So we're going to change it. It's going to stay the user red hat, but the group going to change to junior and on the file SAMIG. So the operator cannot be permitted here. Here you mean the user red hat cannot make that change probably because it doesn't have the permission to operate on that user. and which make totally sense, you know. So let me become root again. To become root, I'm gonna exit because root have all the permission on the file. And let here cd inside red hat. We go inside red hat, we have the file and all this. From here, if I do ln and I'm using my same command again, I'm say to own, and I'm changing from red hat. I'm keeping the name red hat and I'm changing the group junior on the file Samiji here. So by the time I will do LL, we see here now red hat. The owner of this file is red hat, but the group in which it belong become now junior. So that's how we change the information. If I want to change the name of the user, I use the same command to change owner to own, and I'm saying I want the name to be junior, and I also want the group to be junior on the file Samiji, right? By the time I press enter, if I do LL here, you see that I change everything on it. So, so that's another command that we can play around with it. If you only want to change the group, you can use either the command, there's a command called to group, and to group you put what is the name of the group you want to put is red hat, and one is the name of the folder is going to be a Samiji. By the time you press LL, you see here we only change the group, we didn't change the owner of the file. So that is a kind of how you play around with all those file permission and everything. So to make things even more easier for every to play along with it and stuff, there's a conventionally number where uh, re here equal to 4 like this, right? Which is going to make it easier to play along with. And we have the W equal to 2 like this. And then we have the execute equal to 1, right? So that means what? If I want to change the permission, like here on this guy where I see RW, and this is nothing which is going to be a 606, for example. So this is going to represent, I mean, this is going to be 0. So this make 4, 2, and then a 0. In this case, this is going to make uh, 420, and here this is going to be 4. So in general, I'm going to call the permission of this file as 6. So 664, and it's just make it easier to just change it. In the same case here is going to be 775, and it make it easier because here what we were doing, we were changing one permission at the time. But when I'm using those numbers, it makes me change the permission on all the whole set of the permission at the same time. So I can do to mode, change mode, and if I say I can want to be have a 700, for example, and when I press a submitting here, when I do enter, you see like here we remove everybody else. They are 0, 0, but here we have a 7 as is represented 4, 2, and 1. If I decide to do a mode, for example, and I will say 500, for example, and I'm changing the permission on the file submitting. If I do LL here, we see we only have a read and execute. So that's how you can play around with those permissions, either on the folder or either on the file, to get more familiar with it. And as of right now, this is like the entering zone, the basic information about the file permission and stuff. Being on the further video, we're going to talk about a more advanced where we talk about the sticky bit, the GIB, and all those extra permission that come along with the Linux file system. But for now, we're gonna kind of take this, get familiar with this, and you know, uh, move forward in our journey. There's one comment that I wanna add now is to use the copy comment. How can I copy something? So let's say if I do here PWD, it show me that I'm inside a home root, I'm inside a you know, root directory, but I want to go inside a Red Hat. I want to go on the Red Hat home directory. So it's inside home and Red Hat. I press enter here. If I do PWD, this is what I get. But I know that there's a file somewhere. I'm gonna go get it, and that file is inside etc SSH and SSHD config. And I want to copy that file here where I am, which is gonna be home Red Hat. So that's how you copy. You say this file is somewhere on my computer. I want to copy some in this place. So you, this is called the path. The path is how you do to get there, to get somewhere, basically. So here is going to be the path. By the time I press enter, if I do LL here, now you see we have the folder over here. And that folder is just, as easy you can see, the owner of the file here is root. The group of the file here is root, and as we will say, this is the size of the file, and this is the date when the file was created because I just copy it here, so it's a new file that I created it here. So that's how you copy. You use the copy command to put it from one place to another. Here, for example, if I want to copy it inside Margin, I will do copy, and I'm copying the file SSH. Uh, sorry, I'm copying the file SSH, and I want to copy that inside Margin, right? If I do LL, I still have one copy here because I only made the copy. But if I CD inside Margin and I do LL, that means the other copy is here. So I will have that file in two places because I only made a copy. I didn't move it, which is make a difference. Because since I'm inside my D here, if I decide to move it, I will do MV and I'm moving that file into LNG. By the time I do LL, now I don't have that file here anymore because I only move it in here. I moved it inside LNG. So so that's a little bit how you play with the copy and how you play with the move command, which made a big difference between the two of them, you know. And we can even decide to play along by going by doing changing the permission here or changing the permission of the group user as we move forward. So let's say now, since I have that file, here I cd inside LangD, and I see that I have that file here. It's a file. And if I want to read what is it in the inside that file, how can I read a file in the Linux environment? We use the command cat. Cat is kind of showing me open the file. I want to see what is in there. So if I do open SSH, cat on SSH, here, this is what I get. It shows me everything that is in SSH. You know, you can cut a file, but you cannot cut a folder. That's another thing that shows you the difference between a file and a folder here. Because when you cut a file, you want to read what is inside. But the folder is telling you that this is a directory. A folder is a directory. It's the same thing. That means you cannot read it. You can only open it. You can only go inside, but you cannot read it. since I was making the difference, how what does the X mean and what does the CD mean? You see what's the difference between both of them. With the cat, you can only read a file. So to read a file, I would do cat, and cat stand for concatenate. In this case, it means I can read multiple files at the same time with this command. So cat, when I do SSH here, is going to open the file for me, and I can start to read what is written in there inside of it. There's another command that you're going to see that used to read a file is going to be NL. I can do NL to read the file SSH. When I will press that, here the slight difference is now it's going to show me the line number. It showed me this is where the first line begins, the second line and everything. And it showed me that that file has up to 18, I mean, 118 lines, you know, compared to when we were using the cat, we don't even know what line is what line. It just opened the file blank. But NL, what does NL does is it open the file and then it start giving every single line that had something, you know, because it doesn't give the number on the empty line. It only gives the number on the line that has something that is written on it. So that's the difference between the two guys. You also going to see the ls command to read the file. When I press the ls will read the file and it's going to open from the first line. Open the file from the beginning. The cat open all the file like right away, but ls open from the beginning, and it gives you the opportunity to read one line at a time. When you're done reading, you press enter to go to the next line. So this is the advantage of less. So give you the time, like don't open the whole thing. Give me one line at a time, one page at a time. I want to take my time to read it. But by the time you're done reading, you can press Q. So Q get you out of there. So that's how you play with it. And you're going to see another command which is more. This command is not used as often anymore, but still you're going to see there sometimes it's quite useful. When you press the more, the difference is it gives you the amount of percentage of the file that you already opened. So it gives you an idea in advance. So let's say you are reading the file and you want to come back later and you you remember what percentage you were, you just want to jump back in there. That's You can just press more, and every time you press enter, it's gonna show you how many percentage of the file you already open. And to get out of there, as the same thing, you just press Q. The most Another command is must. This command is not quite used as again, so sometimes you're not even gonna see it no more in some Linux system, but it used to be a command that to be around. Another command that you're gonna see is gonna be head. So what head wants to read the file, it only open the 10 first line. So if you count here from here to the end, it's going to be 10 lines. That is only open. And this is the first line. From the first to the 10 line by default. And you're going to see another command which is tell. Tell does the same thing, but it's only open at the end. So it's open the 10 last line at the same time. So the more we're going to dive, we're going to dive deeper, the more you're going to understand the different or how you can use all those different commands that we are seeing right now. But this is just a command that you can use to read a file with it easily. And we have also the view command. View, which is another command which is out there. So it's give you the NFS with the cursor, you know, like it's kind of give me this blink cursor that you see. I can decide to move around with it, and we're gonna talk more deeper about that because you can use that cursor to navigate in any type of way inside the Linux command. And the last one, when you're done with this, to exit, you do to exit out of it. I mean, I hope you saw how I did it. So you do exit, escape, semicolon, and Q, and you press Q to exit out of it. And the last one that we're going to see is VI. VI is basically a command that will help you to modify the file, make some modification. It does the same thing as the view command. Here, the only difference is now you can decide to write something on that file if you want to. You know, if you have something to modify, if you want to write something here, this is where you can do it, and you can do that using the VI. And now when you open like this, at the first, you are in what is called the command line mode. In the command line, you can just look at it in the command line and you read it and you can go to it and do every type of thing. But at the moment when you decide that you want to start writing on it, when I you to and to start writing, you press I. When you press I, you see down here is gave you an insert mode. So it puts you in the edit mode, where you can decide to start writing something. For let's say I can decide to come in this line and I say I want to write. I'm learning something. For example, you know, here it gives you the ability to write and type or whatever you want to put in there. So by the time you're done writing this, if you want to save, you press escape first and then you press semicolon. On the semicolon, you press W. W stands for write and Q stands for quit. I want to write on this file and I want to quit at the same time. If it's happened that you only want to quit without writing, then you remove the W, you just press quit, and I'm going to press enter. It doesn't go in because he's seeing that I wrote something and it's asking me, are you sure you want to quit without saving? If you're sure you want to do that, add a exclamation mark at the end of it. So I do escape, semicolon, uh, exclamation. By the time I press enter, it's just going to get me out of there without saving all the modification that I made. But if I wanted to save it, I'll do a VI again. If I wanted to save it, let's say I come here and I write something to write, I press I and I say, let's say this thing is kind of fun. If I want to save, I press escape. Before to save, you need to go into the command line mode first. I press escape and I do semicolon. Here now I do W quit. I want to write and I want to quit. And here I press enter. So I get out of it. If I go back, you're going to see what I just wrote here. This thing is kind of fun. It's still there. So that's how you edit and that's how you write inside a file. So in the case now when you come in the command line mode in VI is so powerful and there's so much more thing you can do about it and so many. But since we are beginning, we're gonna go with the first easy command you can use with VI, and the more we grow in this thing, the more we're gonna add in you know in our package. So for me to start writing, I need to press I first because as soon as you get open a file, when you come inside the file, it puts you in the command line mode. So when I open, just like view, if I do view, it's going to put me in the command line mode, but I cannot make any modification on it. I'm just going to be in the command line mode. The difference with VI is it put me in the command line mode. You know, I can do whatever, but at the moment when I want to start writing, now I need to press I, right? and I type what I want. So let's say when I press I, it just put the cursor just where I was. It doesn't move me nowhere. To go back in the command line mode, I press escape. Let's say if I came here, I want to start writing in between of those two lines. What should I do? I press A minus A. And you saw as soon as I press A, the cursor jump one line and I can start writing, you know. So when I'm here, if I go back to the command line mode, when I press A, the cursor jump just one line ahead and I start writing. By the time I press escape, the cursor go back in one command line back. Let's say if I'm here and I want to decide I want to go to the end of the line. For example, this guy, I come here, I want to start writing at the end of the line. I need to move one cursor at a time. That take too much time. Vim so powerful. You can just do capital A, jump you at the end of the line right away, and you are ready to type. You can just save time by doing that. You know, because you were supposed to start doing, oh, I need to go back, start moving like this. So here, all you can do is you just do capital A, it jump you right in the beginning of the line. If I do escape and I press 0, it's going to bring me back at the beginning of the line. So that's how I can jump, from the beginning to the end of the line just by pressing one button. Capital A, put me at the command mode at the end of the line. If I press 0, it brings me back at the beginning. So let's say in another case, if I'm here and I decide I want to start typing one character in between, the CDNet and the CMANet. To that, I need to press O. I just press O, then it's going to create a space for me to start typing over there, you know, and then I can just start doing my work. So that's how I do. So I press escape. If I press O, it's going to open the line for me. But let's say in the case where if I wanted to either now start typing on top of Serenix, on top over there, I need to do capital O, jump me one character on top, you know. So that's how you use it. You do capital O, is gonna jump you one character off top of where you are. Let's say I've been doing a lot of things, traveling around and doing all those things. I'm everywhere. If I want to go back to the beginning of the file, I just press G two times. G for girl. You know, let's say I'm navigating. I open a patch. I'm all over the place. I'm already did a lot of stuff. I'm everywhere. If I want to go back to the first line, I do GG. I press GG two times. It's going to take me to where I want to go, just right there, you know. And let's say if suddenly I want to move at the end of the line, at the end of the file, like all the way back, I do capital G. It take me all the way back at the end, you know. So that's how you navigate around with the with the VI command in the command mode. So you play around and do all those type of things. As I was saying, there's so much more things you can do, but we need to take them one at a time. We're gonna play around with this, and when the time comes, we're gonna add some more stuff to do. Let's say if I've been typing all this and I get here, I want to delete. To delete just one character, I press S, X, X. X will delete one character at a time. You know, if I come here, I want to delete X will delete one character at a time. But let's imagine if I want to delete now the whole line. What do I do? I press D two times. DD, the line is gone. DD, the line is gone. So that's how you delete. X will delete just one character, but DD will delete the whole line right away. You do DD, the whole line is gone. So that's a difference on how you delete and stuff. But now another thing that is even funny is like, oh, I deleting this thing by mistake. That is not what I wanted to do. What can I do? One thing is you can escape, you should do escape. You just want to quit without saving. Like I'm doing all this crappy thing that I was doing, I want to escape without saving. So by the time I press enter, if I go back into the file, all the things that I delete, mess around, all those things, the file is going to be still there. As long as you don't write on it, the file, everything gonna go back because you didn't save. But in the case where, let's say I delete, I remove all this like this, and I'll be doing some creepy stuff, and I say, oh, that's not what I wanted to do. I want to go back to the previous state. I need to press U. When you press U, you see down here, it say one change before 25, and then it's even giving you the line and the amount of minutes when you made that change. If I keep on pressing the U, it's going to take me back to all the error, to all the mistake that I was doing until I'm going to get to where I want to. Everything is coming back. And when there's nothing else you can change now, we're telling you already at the oldest change. There's nothing I can do at this time. So that's exactly how the U is helpful. Like I can delete anything, make mistake and stuff. As long as I didn't save this, as long as I didn't do the write and quit, I can always do the U to go back to the previous state, or I can do the quit without saving, and I force that yes, I want to quit. It's because well the that symbol over there just means yes, I'm quitting. Get me out of here. So that's basically what it means. So then let's take along everything that we've been talking so far today. So how to read a file, how to win the concept of the file permission, because those are the basic and the thing that you're going to be playing around every single day that you're going to connect on the server. You know, play with that, do your thing, and always remember practice make perfect. Have fun.